So I thought I'd do a little video on how you get water while you're hiking. So I've just been hiking, I'm up in Hody, and I came across this excellent water source. So this is obviously the closest place to the trail, but it's a little steep to go down. So what I actually did was I look up and down and I see there's some shallows, and if I can, I'm looking for a place kind of like this where it's channeled and it's flowing, so it has some force behind it. That's going to make it easier to fill your bladder up if you're using a bladder. If you're just using a cup or something, then it doesn't really matter. But if you're trying to get it into a bladder to filter it, like a Sawyer squeeze or the BeFree, then you want some force behind it because it'll help it fill up better. Otherwise, you're putting a bag in the water and it's not going to fill up. So what I did was I looked downstream a little bit, and you can see there is a little barricade there naturally of rock and gravel that's collected. So that's where I'm going to go to get my water. Okay, so in order to get water, you have your water source and you obviously have your filter system. In this case, I'm using my Katadyn BeFree water kit. So here's my bladder, and that's the opening where the water is going to go into, and the filter goes on when you're done. So the first thing I'm going to do is go get the water. Walk over to wherever I'm going to collect my water from. And like I said, I'm looking for a place that has some force behind it so that it will be able to fill the bag rapidly. Because without the pressure to go into the bag, the water won't go in. I mean, if I have to, I can go into a pool like this and collect water. Always try and get water that's flowing. It's generally safer for you, less chance of bacteria and other things in there. You remember, animals walk through here, they could come and drink or even poop and pee. So water flowing is always better. So here's a nice spot. It's a place I can step down onto. The rocks are going to be slippery usually because they're covered with water, but I can get over here, and all you're going to do is place your water bag into the flow, and because there's pressure behind it, it will fill up. If you see a lot of dirt or grit in here, you might want to try a different spot. But as long as the water's clean, and you can see in no time, I've collected over 3 liters of water. So that's that easy. Now all I gotta do is go back and let the fun begin. And I apologize because I have no tripod. So here's my bladder. The next thing I want to do is grab the filter element and screw it in the top. Sometimes I take the filter with me to the water source if I'm going to walk a far way because I can't spill it then. It's a sealed bag. If I really need to, now I can turn it upside down, it won't leak. And also I can actually carry this if I have a long portion of trail with no water. And I have carried up to 3 liters of water in this bag. What I do is I actually put the strap around my neck and I'll carry it in front of me. You can tie it to your bag, you can put it in a pocket in the bag, you can actually cinch it to the bag or put it inside your backpack if you really need to. The bag on the outside is wet right now because it just came from the stream. So dry it off if you care about not getting your stuff wet. What I do is, because you gotta remember, anything that's touching the water is considered contaminated until it's filtered. This adapter, the one that I threw away and then threw away again and finally replaced, has a white tip. So on my hose, or what my son calls the noodle, there's a black and a white end. So I use the white end to always go into the filter. So this way I know it's dirty to dirty. It's really clean, but there could be water dripping on the outside. This is so far away that it's not going to get water from the stream on it. Now all you got to do then is put this on something that's higher up than what you're trying to get your container in. So for instance, I'm going to fill up this container. So all I have to do is have this go higher, like an IV bag you see on TV. This is exactly what this is now. And gravity will push the water, and the weight of the water itself will push it through the filter and then come out here. And when it comes out here, it's drinkable. If I wanted to, I can open it up. You can drink on it like a straw. I put it on my pack if there's nothing around, on a rock. Sometimes if I can, I hang it on a tree. Those are usually my or a picnic table, if one of those are around. I happen to have this log over here that I relocated, so I can use the log if I want. But what I'm going to do right now is I'm just going to place it, and I'm going to move you, so stick with me. So I have this log nearby, So all I do is I placed it on the log. You can see the log right there. This is where my pack is. I have all my stuff. So I'm going to basically use that to let it flow down here, which is lower. And I can fill up my bottle. So all I do is take it. Sometimes I let the water flow for a second just to make sure it's clean. There's no debris in there. And then that's it. And all I do is, I like this little clip because it stops the water. It just pinches it. You can bend the hose too. It's silicone. It won't make a difference. And then all I do is start letting it flow. And that's it. And the higher up, now this is obviously not ideal in that there's not much elevation change between the bag and my water bottle. But you can see it's flowing very, very easily, and I don't have to do no work. I don't have to squeeze it. That's what I like about it compared to the Sawyer squeeze, is no work involved. If I want to put pressure on the bag, it will flow faster, and that's always an option. Another thing I've done in the past, and it's hard because I only got one hand to do this with, is I've actually put the bag on my shoulder and just let it sit there, and then I'll get water from there. So that's pretty much it. That's how you get the water and filter it. I'm going to fill this one up, and then I got another bottle that I'm going to fill up again. I have a smaller 20-ounce bottle that I've been using to flavor water and drink that first, because the 1 liter, I want to keep one unflavored so I can cook with. Obviously, I don't want to flavor it and then decide to cook with it, and it might taste like lemon lime or watermelon or grape or orange. You don't want that going in your food, although it's not the end of the world. You're going to eat it anyway. And it's hard to get if you put flavor in a liter bottle, it's either too diluted or you have to use 2 packages. So if I use the 20-ounce bottle, it's closer. Most of those are made for a 16.9 ounce bottle. So that's it. So what I've come to now is, here my bottle is full of water. I take this out, I clip it so that it doesn't leak or anything, and I'm just going to put my cap on. Try and cap them as soon as possible, because you never know when you might spill it. You just worked hard to get water, and you don't want to waste that energy. Okay, I'm going to grab my bag and get a little, I'm actually putting it on my shoulder like I mentioned. Okay, and this can just sit here. Let me get my water bottle. I spread out a little bit. I'm trying to film this. I granted, not the best production studio. This was kind of ad lib. I decided to do this kind of on the fly, literally, when I was just sitting here. I had already filled up water. So I'm going to show you here. Here I am putting it on my shoulder. And I'm just going to leave it here. So it's a little bit higher now. And I'm going to turn this around so you can. So here I have my water bottle. It's a water bottle I've been using for the last couple of days. There it is. And I have the bladder on my shoulder. So it's a little higher up, so you can hear it's flowing a little faster. Sorry. There we go. Can't walk and chew gum at the same time. In this case now, you can see that it's filling up quite easily. And it flows a little faster because it's higher up. I'm not going to use all this water, so what I don't use, I'm going to drink a little bit more out of it, and then I'm going to pour it away. And I'm going to flavor this water before I go. And next stop I take, this will be the water I drink first. And it's about halfway done already. I'm going to fill it up a little bit more. But it's not quite, I don't want to quite fill it up with 20 ounces because then the flavor won't. So that's it. So that's all you do. And then obviously you have to break this down and take it apart. This is basically what I do when I take it apart. Also, I carry an extra cap in case I lose one or it breaks. So the cap portion does sometimes come off. If that happens, you can't seal that bottle. So that's why I do that. So what I want to do is I want to take my bottle, and the first thing I want to do is disconnect the hose, aka the noodle, from the filter. And it's got a quick release. You push the button, it comes out. I then like to hold it up and let it drain, because there's water inside here. So I open it up and you can see there's water dripping out. So I want it to drain because I don't want to pack it away with water still inside of it. So what I do then, I take the hose, I disconnect it, I drain it to make sure there's no water in it, and then I fold it up like this so I can put it back in my bag. And here I have a bag labeled the noodle, and that's where it goes. I'll show you that in a second. Okay, so this is the hose coiled back up in its bag, ready to be placed back in the sock that I put my water filter in. The next thing is the water filter. And the water filter, I do the same thing. I take it off and I put it in a little plastic bag because it's going to be wet. I also want to keep it protected from getting dirt or debris inside of it. Sometimes it helps if you have a little hand towel or a rag that you can wipe stuff off, just because it's wet and you'll have leaves and stuff stick to it. So just realize that when you take the filter off, that the bladder, if it has water in it, like in this case, it's going to leak all over the place. So I'm shaking out the filter as much as I can. There's also a way you can clean it. And then I'm going to stick it in the bag. Okay? And once again, I'm doing this one-handed because I don't have an assistant and I don't have a tripod. I've managed to put it in the bag, and I'll seal this up. If it's cold weather, this is going to go in my pocket. I'm going to sleep with it or stick with it. Do not let this freeze. It's hollow fibers. If water is in there and it freezes, they'll break the fibers. They'll damage them as the water freezes and expands, as it crystallizes, and you will have broken fibers, which will not keep out any of the bad nasties that we're trying to do. The last thing we have to do is deal with the bladder. Now this bladder I still have half full of water because it floats so easy. So I'm just going to return that back to the water source, or I'll just pour it in the ground. It's not going to make a difference. It's water, right? I'm going to let it drip. Shake it out as much as I can. I don't want to spend too much time because I want to get moving down the trail. And then I'm just going to wrap this up, put it back in its case, put everything back in my pack, and I'm going to be down the trail. Okay, so here's the whole kit all ready to go back in its case. So first thing I usually do is I put back in the bladder bag because it's the largest thing and it's not in its own container. So I'm putting that in. Then I put the filter. It doesn't matter what order you do this. This is just what I'm doing now. It doesn't matter. You can put the noodle in or the hose in and the filter. Just showing that everything goes in there. I do want to squeeze some of the air out of here so it doesn't take up extra room. I seal it. I've never had a problem with it leaking water really. There's minimal water on this, and then it's basically set to go. And this is going to go back in my pack. So there you have it. There's the water filter back away, set to go back in my pack. I stick it in the outside, so if there is water in it, it drips out. It's outside the pack. It's not with my stuff. I would not put this inside my pack unless I know it's really dry. I don't want to get any of my clothes or anything else wet from this. So this stays on the outside and it's readily accessible. I didn't have to open up my pack to get it. So that's it. That's how you get water when you're out backpacking.